Hey everybody, it's Maria, and I thought I would just make a quick little video today because I had some stuff on my mind. So I kind of want to talk about some of the other things that you can use divination-wise alongside cartomancy. Because initially, when you're going to get started with this, it's going to require a lot of memorization on your part. It's going to require you doing a lot of studying on your part, and ideally even learning from somebody who has years of experience. Having a mentor is honestly just so critical. And to be fair, now, I did not have a mentor when it came to the cards. The cards are something that I just began practicing and studying on my own. Not until very recently did I find somebody who I would consider a mentor, and that being Professor Charles Porterfield, who is an amazing cartomancer and very gifted root doctor. He's a really just all-around great person. But I've met him only recently, and I've been reading cards a lot longer than he's been around. But I did have other teachers earlier on, such as my godfather and astrological mentor, Eric Purdue, who was really critical in getting me to engage with this sort of stuff a little bit differently than how I'd been approaching it before. But all of that aside, how can you expand card reading beyond just looking down at the cards when they show up and getting a very by-the-book answer? Because I think that's where a lot of people hit a wall, is they shuffle the cards, they ask the question, and then they just put the cards down and they stare down, and immediately you're confronted with having to recall a bunch of stuff that you've committed to memory, as much of it as possible. But the issue is, of course, that not all of the by-the-book wrote things about a card are going to be super applicable or helpful in a reading. Because the meanings of the cards are very general, and you should have those memorized. However, understanding them in the context of other people's lives versus a just general book on tarot card or playing card meanings, it's going to be very different. And this is why practice and practicing reading for yourself, practicing reading for others is so vital, because you're going to see that the same card can show up in so many different contexts and mean so many different things, though parts of the core element that make up that card are going to be present. Now, when I read cards now, of course, the first thing I do is I look for the significator and look for the cards that are around the significator. This is especially if, say, I'm doing like a 36 card full deck, like a tableau reading, like something you'd find in Lenormand or in other French, German, and Russian cartomantic spreads. So I'll look for the significator and I look for the cards around the significator. But another thing I noticed when I do stuff like this, and specifically I think it's easiest for me to do this when I am using a full deck spread, when I'm using a grand tableau style spread, is that by just looking at the cards, I can trigger a trance state. Like, I can kind of trigger and start doing what we would call scrying. I guess I could have just mentioned scrying earlier on here, but I guess we're still only at the 4-minute mark. But scrying is not something that I think a lot of people associate with card reading. And I understand why. They just seem like they're different. But the cards provide you with a focus for your eyes. And if you apply the same principles, relaxing the gaze and just kind of like not focusing on any one detail, eventually images do kind of start to come to mind. And this is something that I've only begun recently really diving into and specifically trying to do. Because, going by the book and just going by card meanings alone is going to work. It's going to work. You are going to be able to predict accurately, and you need to be able to do that. That's part of kind of what becoming a diviner entails, is you being able to become accurate in your predictions, or accurate in gaining information about the past that you did not know, or information about the present that you did not know. Like, that's kind of the goal here, right? Like, we want to be able to gaze into the unknown and come back with answers. Well, one way, as I started to describe, of doing this is through scrying the cards. Now, you can also use things that aren't cards. You could use a glass of water if you offer water to your spirits while you read. You could use a black mirror. I really am a fan of what I call far gazing. Like, I just stare into, I stare at the farthest point in the horizon I can find. And for me, I'm kind of lucky because I have a really, really gorgeous view of the Puget Sound and the Cascadian mountain range over to my right. And in the morning before I do the daily omen draw for my IG page, excuse me, I will take a moment to ground myself, take 3 breaths, and just kind of be mindful of my surroundings, right? Like, observe the birds who are singing, observe the clouds and the weather, see how far I can see into the distance. And I find the farthest point, and I just stare at it. I just stare until my eyes kind of, it kind of, you can feel kind of hypnagogic, almost hypnotic state come on when you're scrying. And so I'll just look, and when you're training for scrying and when you're practicing scrying, typically what you're going to do is you're going to try to recall images that you can recall perfectly and recreate them in your mind's eye, so that when you do scry images that are not self-generated, you're going to be able to see them that much more clearly, including the details. You're going to want to notice the details of the visions that come from scrying. And so lately what I've been doing is, before doing my daily draw, is I do some scrying exercises. And they've recently been actually turning into divinatory sessions where I start to see images. They're almost kind of, they're very tarot-esque. They tend to be simple, 1 or 2 symbols, but not like just glyphs. I'm talking about, like, they almost look like illustrations from a children's book. They look very fairy tale-ish. I've been enjoying them. This is a new thing for me, and it's greatly improving like my ability to prognosticate upon the daily omens that come up. So I wanted to talk a little bit just about how including scrying in your card reading practice can really increase the meaning you get from the cards. So how would you do this simply? Start by taking you can even do this in order. You could do this with all the major arcana, you could do this with the minor arcana, you could do this with court cards or face cards, you could do this with all the pips. Just pick a card and memorize it. Playing cards, this is really easy because it's very simple, so maybe do that. And then recall it into your mind's eye. You could use it as a focus too while you're scrying, just focusing on that card and seeing what images come to mind, especially while trying to still your mind. Now, I think it might be, in my opinion, a little bit easier to get spontaneous visions from this, and visions that are, in fact, not self-reflection, by doing this with a grand tableau spread. So if you do this with a grand tableau, you simply ask the questions, lay out the cards, and then you just gaze into the cards as if they were a mirror. And you gaze until your vision kind of becomes unfocused, because you don't really want to be looking at the details there. You want to be looking past them, because the cards really just are a gateway for spirit. They're a gateway to spirit. They're a way for us to see into spirit. And I don't know if very many other people integrate scrying into their tarot reading or playing card reading. I know some people use pendulums. I also do that. You could use coin tosses as well. Like, say you're just trying to divine on top of your divining and like confirm or a yes or no suspicion about something. That would be good to use something like a pendulum or a coin toss. And integrating these multiple layers of techniques into your divinatory practice will only increase the amount of information you get, and also the specificness of it. Because you can get an answer from the cards, but how do you know that what you think the answer means is what it means? Especially since, bear in mind, we're working with spirits here. Like, there are spirits answering you through your cards. Now, of course, as we've gone over in other videos of mine, you have to build a relationship with your spirits for them to really, really answer you effectively. I'll be honest, and that is just something that I think more people need to take into account, is that building a relationship with your spirit guides is pivotal to you being a successful diviner, especially for those of us who are born in places where we do not have traditions or we do not have initiatory traditions related to divination. So we have to figure all this out on our own and either find a teacher or find spirits who will teach us. Because just because you don't have a human teacher doesn't mean that you're not being taught. You have spirits constantly all around you. Your ancestors, number one, who are going to be pushing you towards places of strength for you, because they know, they can see and they know what are the places you will flourish in. So paying attention to that and letting that draw you along the path further is critical. It's critical. And then once you know that you have these spirit relationships established, you can start to experiment with these more complex, these more advanced methods I'm kind of talking about. Because honestly, I think for a newcomer to divination to hear me going, oh, and you can also scry the cards, this might mislead some people, and I really hope you watch this video more than once, and probably in tandem with some of my others, to understand 100% of what I'm saying. But my goal here is to remind us that, 1, this can be a multi-pronged approach. 2, it does not need to be strictly by the book. 3, it always must be spirit-led. And 4, that you can gain more meaning from these techniques by including other techniques alongside them and viewing them all together. So maybe give my scrying exercises a chance. Try them out for yourself. Especially maybe if you're just learning the cards, it will help you at least, study and internalize them. But just see how experimenting with other forms of divination can boost your cartomantic practice. I'll be back soon with another video. It's really great to just kind of have this time to reflect on this, and for that I'm eternally grateful. I'm so thankful to all my spirits who continue to hold me up and guide me. And if you enjoy these videos, please like and subscribe. Follow me on Facebook and Instagram @CunningCards. And I'll talk to you all soon. Bye.